Welcome to the Illuminate Your Essence podcast, where we cut through the distractions, programs, and stories that have created chaos in your life and discover the truth, bliss, and joy that exists beyond the external clutter and resides within. Welcome, friends. I am so incredibly excited about today's guest on my show. I have the ever beautiful, amazing, radiant, and if you can see her on YouTube, you'll see what I'm talking about, Felicia Romero. She is a mentor to fitness, health, and mindset coaches. She's a serial entrepreneur. Yes, I understand that. And host of Hi Felicia Podcast, which I love. I love that you played on the Bye Felicia. That is just so fabulous. So,
oh my gosh, thank you so much. I actually did a rebrand last year because I love the pivot when you feel something in your heart tugging at you. And I love like giving other women the permission to pivot as well. But I did a rebrand last year because my podcast used to be called The Diet Dropout. And so I was, I know we're going to get a little bit into my story, but I owned gyms for about 15 years. And I sold my last gym in 2017. And I was fitness coach, for a lot of years, wide range of experience when it came to fitness coaching and teaching classes and owning gyms. And so a lot of when I first started my podcast, it was called The Diet Dropout because I wanted to educate women on not to really stop looking outside themselves for the external validation or the number on the scale, and to really just look inward. And so I use that platform to really share stories, my own stories of my personal struggles with my own body and body dysmorphia and how I came out on the other side, really loving myself and accepting myself exactly how I am, but to also know that health is very important to me still too. So, but yeah, I rebranded last year because I wanted to just open up the conversation to empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, and all the things. And I felt like I had so much more to offer than just talking about wellness. So I felt that nudge and I went for it.
Oh, that is fantastic. And so you're shifting from this physical fitness based model to perhaps more inward instead of that external shift. And I see this all the time, Felicia. I see women that will struggle with weight, will struggle with their body image, with their relationship with their bodies for years and years and years. And they will try everything. I mean, we all know, and I am one of those people, by the way, that has tried pretty much everything out there. And it wasn't until I got really clear and self-confident internally that I was able to allow that excess pounds, weight, all of the things from my external body to be shed. And and I'm sure you've seen this all the time, right?
100%. I mean, you said it yourself, you've tried everything, which most women have tried. I mean, I literally did a podcast on this, that most women I think statistically in their lifetime have been on at least a dozen diets, right? Or more. And that really troubled me because when I think about it, it's like, again, we're searching for like something that's outside of us, the perfect diet, the perfect exercise plan, the perfect coach to get us where we need to go. And the thing is, we have the power within us all along. And it really comes down to, and this is true in business, this is true in wellness. And since we kind of geared a little bit more towards wellness, any sort of strategy will work. You go online right now, you type in how to lose 10 pounds. You will find a gazillion articles giving you the exact formula to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Yeah. But why is it that we still are a society that is overweight, inflamed, and not feeling optimal? And it really comes down to the belief and the mindset, the things that we are thinking and the lifestyle that we are living, and the habits that we've created in our life that we just get stuck. Right. And it's the whole notion of I'm going to start on Monday, or the whole notion of I'm going to start on January 1st. I'm going to be a new me. Well, why not start that now? And that's really the difference between jumping on another diet and truly adhering to a new lifestyle and a new way of being. And it really starts with that.
I fully agree. And it was a beautiful situation in my life. I actually honestly asked this from God. I said, I would love to learn to stop being an emotional eater. Well, be prepared for what you ask for, because not that much later, I was given the opportunity to have breast implant illness, which before I knew what was happening, it shifted me in this place of I had to find the solutions. I had to figure out how I was going to support my body, because I wasn't living this way. I wasn't going to live a life in bed, sick, tired, foggy brained, all of the things. I had way too much to offer in order to be in that space. But that health journey led me to a space to develop this beautiful relationship with food. Every time I would put something on my fork, I would say, is this going to heal me or hurt me? And it became more about honoring and loving this girl right here than it was. There was nothing that tasted as good as feeling good. There just was nothing.
Right.
And so I started to shift that ever so slightly. Was able to realize my breast implants were making me sick, and those were taken out, which I wouldn't have done 6 months prior, because I would have been too caught up in what I looked like. And was able to allow myself that. But I just really believe that you are exactly spot on, Felicia. And you've been in this industry for so long. So you've seen this happen time and time again, where individuals are looking for the external validation of, I want to feel good, and I'll feel good once I look like this. And they never get there.
Yeah. Well, let me give you an example, so to give your audience a little context on my background, always played sports. I grew up playing sports. I even went to Arizona State playing softball. And I also grew up in a Mexican household where food was love. Like my mom fed us with love. Like she wanted, like, that's the way she showed her love. So we never talked about dieting. I never heard my mom talk about how she hated her body. We never talked about calories or carb cutting or anything like that. I grew up in a very just safe environment in that sense. And so it wasn't until I got into college and I actually started competing in college. And for the audience that may not know what that is, I basically was an IFBB figure pro. And what that is I basically think Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Olympia. Like I used to go to the Olympia, which is the Super Bowl of what I do. And at one point throughout my career, I placed 4th in the world. So to give your audience sort of that like visualization, it was sort of like a beauty pageant, but with muscle. And so for 9 years, my body was subjected to, external judgment. I wasn't thin enough. I wasn't lean enough. I didn't have the perfect shape. And so, having been subjected to that, and also wanting, I was a firstborn, I'm an Enneagram 3 perfectionist, like wanting that competition, but wanting to do the best, that really played a toll on me. So not only was I being judged physically for 9 years, but I was also on a diet for 9 years, right? And after every competition, I would put weight on, because over the years, I started to develop a very unhealthy relationship with food. And it was living in this constant state. And this is where I see a lot of women are living, this state of restriction. I can't eat this. I can't do that. If, I have to pay the price. If I eat this, I better pay the price by doing extra cardio. And what do you think is going to happen when something is taboo in our minds? When we hold this moral compass to food, well, this is good and this is bad. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to want those foods, right?
Obsessed.
You're going to be obsessed with those foods. So that is what happens when we start to develop this unhealthy relationship. We first stop asking ourselves, well, how does this feel? And it comes into, well, what is diet culture telling me? What have I learned? What am I seeing? What am I seeing women do? Or what have my coaches said? Or, or for me, it was the proof of, well, I was restrictive and I wasn't eating any carbs and I got this lean. Well, I should do that again and not eat any carbs, because carbs are the enemy, because that's the only way I knew how to get in shape or get extremely lean, unhealthy lean. And to go back to the example of, it's never enough. I was on an Olympia stage, 11% body fat, being judged 4th in the world in what I did. And I still didn't feel good enough. And I was also 40 pounds heavier than that girl that was on the stage, still not feeling good enough. So what is it? The physical, gosh, Felicia, you look so great. You're on covers of magazines, you're doing reality TV, you're doing all these things, still feeling not worthy enough. and 40 pounds heavier and just feeling the exact same way. So at the end of the day, your weight, how you look isn't the thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's the thing inside of you. It's like the choice that you get to make in your life. And that is, am I worthy or am I not? And that's a lot of personal healing that, if you're listening to this and you're still chasing that external validation, I think it's time for you to get curious and aware of, okay, what is driving this? And you do get to a point, Wendy, where you're like, I'm done feeling this way.
Yeah.
And I want to get better. Right. And gosh, when you are over on the other side of that, because I still see women, or I work, I've chatted with women, still have friends that are still in that space of the next thing. And I know that they're on their own personal journey too. You have to go through the journey to really understand the importance of it. You can't just say, well, I wish I was there already. I wish I was healed. I wish I was like 10 steps into my business and I was making $1 million already. Well, no, the journey is actually what makes you that millionaire. And you're going to be able to become the woman, to be that person, or to be the woman that you see in the little black dress and like feeling a certain way. Well, that's the journey. That's where the sweet spot is. And so, these are conversations I have all the time. These kind of conversations totally light me up because I've embodied it. I've lived it. Yeah.
Yes, I know. And it's, what's so wonderful is here you are, this beautifully fit, gorgeous woman, but you can see the radiance in your face. You can see that there's this inner glow, which I don't believe you can take any pill, powder, perform any exercise that will do that. And it attracts energetically the right people, the right opportunities, the financial abundance, all of the things start to gravitate to us because we feel and embody that view of health. We're no longer seeking it. We've got it, but it takes some time, right?
It takes some time, and everyone has their own divine time. I just did a post yesterday on TikTok about timing because I was having a coaching call with a private client and she's like, oh, Felicia, I'm just not there yet. And I'm like, she's like, I feel like I'm behind. And mind you, this woman is making a fantastic income. She works with people all around the world. She left her corporate job to like start her own thing. Like she's doing well, but she still says she feels like she's behind. And my question to her was, behind who? Like by whose standard, right? It's the moment we start to put these timelines or quote unquote restrictions, we really add this additional pressure and like weight on our shoulders that we have to be a certain place at a certain time. And the thing is, if we just get quiet, we ask ourselves, okay, what is it that I need today? And really honor where you're at. That's where the magic is, because there are going to be seasons in your life where you are going to be the woman that is like going. And there's going to be seasons in your life where you need to retreat and maybe do gentle movement, or maybe retreat and take a back seat in your business so that you can take an overview of like, what is it that you're really wanting to create? And every season serves its purpose. And that purpose is hopefully getting to a place where you can, because we have to, without the light or without the dark, we can't appreciate the light, right?
Yes.
And without the winter, we can't appreciate the summer. So it's like, we have to honor the season that we're in.
Well, and of course, with women too, we follow the moon cycles. So that totally makes sense. There are times where we're retreating, where we're filling that reservoir back up, and we're starting to allow ourselves to just be quiet, because the next season is creation, right? And the next season's action, and then the next season's harvest. So it's following those cycles. So I love that, which leads us to a couple of other ideas. The first is, once we get to a place where we're eating and honoring our bodies, we're doing it because we want to feel good. And it's really hard to be aware, very aware, to get to the next level and the next place in our life. That it begins with awareness. But if you're not aware and you're so detached from your body, and you don't listen to what it needs, what it's asking for, what it's that it's time to rest instead of take action, perhaps you're missing opportunities for that growth that you're seeking. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's really, whenever we are not listening to our intuition and our inner guidance, we then become out of alignment. And when you're out of alignment, you then start making decisions that are not in your highest or best self, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you may start to sort of get a little bit soft on your boundaries, or you might say yes to opportunities that you didn't really want to say yes to, that now it's creating more
Mm-hmm.
burnout, more stress, right? So that awareness is the first key to everything. It's just awareness in how you're feeling, and awareness in, you know, the alignment in what you're wanting to create, right? And how you're wanting to feel in your life. Every time that I got quiet, it actually helped me to speed up. When I got quiet, I got to eliminate all of the noise and the distraction, and it became very clear what my next step was going to be, whether it's in my health, whether it's in my business, whether it was a certain situation that I was dealing with. And so, awareness and just looking inward is really that first step to creating an aligned life, for sure.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love all of this. And so I really, really want to drive home for the listeners that it's all about becoming body aware and body loving and going inward instead of outward. And then learning to pivot, which is a word that really lights you on fire, right?
Oh, I love that. Actually, I want to talk a little bit more, something that's just sparked a thought about the body. I don't know if you've ever read Your Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yes. 100%.
If you've ever read it, I highly recommend. And I just got, actually this last weekend, I co-hosted a retreat in Sedona with a breathwork facilitator. Her name's Anahata, and one of my business besties, Annette De La Rosa. And we hosted a retreat, and we talked a lot about this, what we're talking about right now. And what's interesting, and if you're listening to this right now and you've experienced anything like this, and I'll share a personal story. I used to have thyroid issues. I used to be on thyroid medication. It was brought on a lot by, you know, the environment and a lot of just the toxic environment that I was in, but also the extreme conditions that I was putting my body through, and not speaking my truth, right? Allowing myself to just retreat and not actually speak the things that I wanted. And I do believe that it all had an effect on my thyroid. So my question to the audience, and if you're listening to this, and maybe you, Wendy, can relate, is your body is, and this is why I know we talked about goddess yoga, which why I believe movement is medicine, moving the energy through the body, but your body will keep the score. Meaning, if you have been out of alignment in your life, or you've been going down this path that doesn't feel very good, or you've been eating things that doesn't really serve your highest self, you will start to feel it in the body. Maybe it starts as back pain. Maybe you've been getting headaches. Maybe you start developing thyroid issues, right? Like I did. Maybe your hips, are feeling really tight, and you're just feeling really achy. Oftentimes, I do believe there is a correlation with unhealed trauma, living out of alignment, not speaking your truth, all of those things, your body will take on. For example, I have a woman who was in my goddess yoga class. She's taken it twice now. And the first time she had gotten, had a surgery, and I believe it was like uterine fibroids or something like that. And it had been months and months and months, and her and her husband would love to get pregnant. They've been trying to get pregnant, and she had not had her period. And so she did a yoga class, my goddess yoga. She came to a workshop, and she texted me the next day, and she's like, Felicia, I just got my period. And I had not had my period in like months and months and months since after my surgery. That awakened something within her. It moved energy through her body that allowed her to then, menstruate. And that's powerful. It's all powerful. With just moving energy through the body. And so there's something to that. So if you are like, gosh, I just don't feel optimal, I'm not thriving, my back hurts, or I'm getting these headaches, or I just feel so achy all the time, or maybe you've been experiencing health issues and you just don't know why, there's always clues that our body gives us, right? Your body was giving you clues that maybe you need to do some more research, and maybe these, foreign objects in your body are just not what your body needs. And you did the necessary steps to remove it. Well, maybe there's something in your life right now where you are not living in your truth.
Mm-hmm.
You are maybe in a relationship, that you don't want to be in, or maybe you are in, having issues in your work or career that, that you just don't want to be there. Like your body's going to take that on. So I want to, I guess, ask your audience to get a little curious about those places in their life where they may not feel in alignment, and, start writing in a journal and start taking notes and being aware on where that might be.
Oh, so powerful. And absolutely. Everything that you said is so resonating with me on so many levels, because my own personal journey, it really was a health journey. I used to call it a health crisis, but it was literally just my body's way of communicating those imbalances, the dichotomy of your brain says one thing, your heart says another. We're up here. It's this repeat pattern story belief that I need to make everybody else happy. I've got to make sure everybody is supported, that they're not mad at me, that I don't let them down. And yet my heart is saying, but you let yourself down every day, sister. You let yourself every time that you stay in that relationship, every time you put that toxic thing in your mouth, every time you go to that workplace that is no longer aligned with your soul and your desire and your purpose to live, that isn't an alignment. And so your body is this beautiful GPS. If we allow it to be that GPS, then all of a sudden we start to have an idea of, maybe I'm out of alignment with this area of my life. And what can I do to course correct? Which, brings us to that pivot thing again, right? Like we can pivot once we start to understand what our body and our heart and our soul is telling us. Now we have the opportunity to course correct.
Yes. And I call these pivot downloads, I call them nudges. At first, maybe start, like for me, I've been experiencing some pivoting in my life, some things that I'm really wanting to create in 2023. And it's going to take a lot of, me stepping into that next level woman. And I'm here for it because I have pivoted so many times in my life. And so this territory is familiar to me. So I know how to move through it. But for those women that may not, and they've just been kind of comfortable, you're going to first hear the whisper. You'll hear it probably in the shower. Oh, like that. What was that thought? You might hear it. And this happens to me in bed before you go to bed, and you're hearing that whisper. You might, hear it on your drive to wherever you're going. And I'm a little bit more clairvoyant in a way that I visualize. I can see it. I can see the vision. It's so clearly in my brain. And it mostly happens when I'm daydreaming and visualizing. And where I have a friend that she doesn't see it at all. She's like, I don't see it, but I hear it.
Yes.
So you're going to get those nudges. And the more that you lean in, and this is why it's so important to have that time with yourself, that alone time, to really just not listening to any music or podcast or Audible, and just sit quiet. You'll notice that you'll get to lean into those nudges a little bit more. And for a lot of women, when they are not living in alignment, they're not following their passion, they're not creating the thing, we'll start to hear it even louder, right? Even, I know that you have this big event that you're wanting to create and come up. And so you probably heard the whisper, and it just kept getting louder and louder and louder. And you're like, I have to make this happen. And so for women listening, I give you permission to go after that big dream. And for a lot of others, it may seem silly, but let's be honest, for a lot of people who aren't in the same sort of mindset you are, they will look at you as crazy, or they will not understand until they see other people supporting you and it working, right? It's like they'll call you crazy until it works. So just keep following that whisper. And that's, for me, that's how it starts. And then I know for me, that next step is, okay, I need to find a way to make this happen.
That's beautiful. It's really just learning. And I think you did a beautiful job unfolding the process of this to the point where you are self-aware enough that you hear that and you go, this time I'm going to listen. Yeah. This time I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to choose me instead of worrying about the acceptance of everyone around me. I'm going to accept this person that is sitting right in front of the mirror. And I am choosing to listen to that voice and see where it takes me. Maybe it's crazy. Maybe it's crazy, but my soul is on fire when I think about it. Right.
When you think about it, that's the feeling. It's like you get the butterflies, you get the excitement. For a lot of women, what actually keeps them from that idea to implementation or integration is number one, fear, right? The fear pops in. And number two, they are stuck in the how. Yeah. And so for a lot of women that I coach and that I help with, we don't have to know the step 10. Yeah. We don't even have to know the how at this moment, right? With what I'm building and creating, I have some experience, but also it is new territory for me. So I can be stuck in the limiting beliefs that I am creating for myself, or I can be present and be there for the why and the vision and keep moving forward. So all you really need are your next two steps. What are the next two steps on this journey that I need to do? Well, first of all, I need to execute this thing. And then I need to know someone who can get me to that place, right? Those are your first two steps. And then you just keep taking a step forward, a step forward. This is something that I used to do, obviously, when I did the wellness coaching. Most women, most people, when they start any sort of health journey, they feel like they got to do all the things. Okay, all of a sudden I have to run a mile a day. I have to work out daily. I have to be in bed by 10. I have to not eat any carbs. I have to make sure I'm eating 5 small meals a day. For anyone, that's going to be overwhelming, right? So like, what is the 1 or 2 things that you can do today that's going to move the needle? And for some, that might be taking a walk and drinking some water, right? It might be just as simple as that. And each day it's like, can we add that intentionality to each and every day that's going to get us closer to wherever we want to be? So yeah, it's always the fear. What are people going to think? Am I qualified? Can I do this? And then it's the how. Well, how am I going to make this happen? I don't know anything about writing a book. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people out there that know how to write a book that you can hire. Guess what? You can Google how to write a book and get started, right? Exactly. So it's like we add these limitations to ourselves, and it's really unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. So yeah.
Oh, those are beautiful. Just take those 2 steps. Take the 2 steps, because I believe collectively we all need to learn and grow from each other's wisdom and spiritual gifts. You have them. I have them. Felicia definitely has them. And you are being brave enough, Felicia, to share them with the world. And that's what I implore all of us to do. I really believe this world will change as we start to stop being in a place of fear and leaning more into that place of love, that place of trust, that place of faith. And so I love everything that you've shared today. It's been so many pieces of wisdom, golden nuggets is what I like to say and call them. Those that are listening that want more Felicia Romero in their life, how do they find you?
I hang out over on Instagram. So at Felicia Romero, just my first and last name. I also have my podcast page called the Hi Felicia Podcast. And so I hang out a lot on there. I've also been on TikTok. I love doing the whole TikTok game as well, but I'm most accessible on Instagram. So I have a ton of free resources there too. So if you check out the link in my bio, a lot of different ways we can work together, but also a lot of free resources that you can download and start digging in if you want to create a wildly wealthy business that's aligned and that is fun and feels good. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you once again, Felicia, for being here, spending your time here on Illuminate Your Essence. And for those of you out there, I can't wait to continue the discussion, the deep dive, and the dialogue here on Illuminate Your Essence. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I invite you to continue the dialogue, the discovery, and the deep dive on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also on my website. Feel free to download your free copy of the 5 steps to discovering your inner voice and begin your journey of discovering the truth within today.